Aliens tortured the human girl until she died. 37 minutes later, Rhea Kaul stared out the viewport of the Andromeda Reach, watching a blue-white nebula drift slowly across the starscape. She had always dreamed of the stars, first as a child clutching telescope manuals in Delhi's polluted suburbs, and later as a xenobiologist with the Earth Colonial Science Corps. Now, at 26, she was closer to alien life than most humans could imagine. The ship's AI chimed softly. Approaching uncharted planetary system. No signs of artificial transmission. Scans inconclusive. Rhea turned from the glass. Inconclusive means interesting. Captain Durant's voice crackled over the comms. All science teams to primary lab stations. Unknown signal detected near third planet. Stand by for first contact protocols. Rhea's heart pounded. First contact? Again? Their last meeting with the aquatic Novaxii had been peaceful, enlightening even. Maybe this would be another chapter in humanity's expanding alliance. But something felt wrong. They dropped out of sublight and into chaos. A jagged, obsidian vessel emerged from behind the third planet, blotting out the stars. It moved like it was alive, pulsing, twitching in space. No warning, no greeting. Within moments, the Andromeda Reach's shields were down. Everything moved too fast. Explosions rocked the corridors. Breaches tore through airlocks. The lights flickered, then died. Rhea was thrown against the bulkhead, her vision swimming with sparks and blood. Security personnel shouted. Weapons discharged. Then silence. And then darkness. Rhea woke restrained on a cold slab, arms and legs bound by coils of humming metal. A ceiling of liquid glass hovered above her, and beyond it, shadowed forms watched. Human subject appears conscious, a dry, rasping voice echoed. Initiate Phase 1. Pain bloomed in her spine. Hot, electric, surgical. Rhea screamed until her voice cracked. Something slid into her skin, threading through nerves like fire. Needles the size of sewing pins began recording every twitch of her muscles. Her vision blurred as translucent insects crawled across her eyes, implanting microscopic sensors. No sedation, one voice asked. She survives longer this way. The screams feed the Lattice. They were studying her like a lab rat, but worse. These weren't scientists. They were collectors of agony. Over hours, maybe days, she was broken and rebuilt. Limbs torn and healed. Skin peeled and regrown. Her own memories were played back in her mind like twisted dreams. Her mother's face, her brother's laughter, her graduation at Luna University, all warped, distorted. Eventually, her thoughts dulled. The pain was endless, the hours meaningless. And then they went too far. One of the Zarn, thin, spider-limbed creatures with fractal eyes, pressed a sphere of dark energy to her chest. It passed through her sternum like water. Her heart stopped. She died. They dumped her body into a pit of other failed subjects, human and otherwise. Blood pooled beneath her, and the hum of the facility carried on, uncaring. But deep within Rhea Kaul's cells, something ancient stirred. Project Phoenix, humanity's abandoned biogenesis experiment, had been declared a failure decades ago. They'd tested it on orphans and refugees, Rhea among them. But the regenerative sequences never activated. EarthGov shelved the research and buried the data. Until now, 37 minutes after clinical death, Rhea gasped. Her body convulsed as nanites flooded her bloodstream. Bones snapped back into place. Skin stitched shut. The damage undone, but never forgotten. She was alive, and she was changing. The pit was dark, but her eyes could now see subtle currents of thermal energy. Her ears picked up faint frequencies, alien whispers, mechanical vibrations, the pulse of the ship's core. Every cell in her body felt electrified. She rose, trembling, naked and scarred. Pain still clung to her like a second skin, but something colder had settled beneath it. Clarity. They had made a mistake. She staggered toward the nearest exit tunnel, memory returning in jagged flashes. The layout of the lab. The pattern of the alien patrols. The Zarn-S obsession with pain. They weren't just scientists. They were parasites. Her fingers brushed a wall panel. It shifted open with a hiss. Freedom. She didn't know how she'd survive. She didn't know what she had become. But Rhea Kaul had died once. She didn't intend to do it again. Rhea moved like a shadow, barely more than a whisper between the dim green lights that pulsed through the Zarn corridors. The ship seemed alive. Walls of organic metal twitched and exhaled softly as she passed. Her bare feet left no sound. Her skin, once smooth and soft, now shimmered with a faint, metallic sheen in the dark. She didn't know how she had come back, only that she had. And she wasn't the same. Her body burned from the inside, but not with pain, with power. Muscles regenerated faster than they tore. Cuts sealed shut within seconds. Her mind, once muddied by fear, was sharp now. Cold, focused, and angry. She ducked into a ventilation shaft as a Zarn patrol slithered by, six-legged things cloaked in bone armor, their hands crackling with bioenergy. Rhea watched from the shadows, chest heaving with quiet breath. They had tortured her, killed her, left her for dead like garbage. Now she would return the favor. An hour later, she found a vivisection chamber. Rows of alien tables, curved and organic, lined the room. Some held remains of other species, reptilian, avian, insectoid, all in varying states of mutilation. One table held a Terran body, or what was left of it. Long limbs stripped of skin, eyes removed, spine severed. And then she saw herself. Her first body. She walked slowly toward it, heart pounding. Her original corpse, cold, pale, half dissected, stared up at her with unblinking, lifeless eyes. They hadn't even closed them. Something inside her snapped. Rhea reached out and touched the body's arm. A surge of energy coursed into her hand like static. Memories, pain, impressions left behind in dead tissue. They hit her mind like a wave. Screams. Flames. Her name screamed by someone else. The click of alien claws. The moment her heart stopped, she collapsed to her knees. But when she rose, she was stronger. She needed weapons. Allies. A plan. Slipping deeper into the ship's underbelly, Rhea found the containment pens. Translucent cells pulsing with restrained energy. Dozens of prisoners, alien and human, trapped, sedated, fading. Most barely moved, but one did. A tall man, scarred, wearing the remains of a Martian Coalition combat suit. He sat against the wall, watching her through the energy barrier. "You're not one of them," he rasped. "But you're not quite one of us either." Rhea studied him. Name? Silas Venn. Captain. Mars Blackguard. You. Rhea Kaul. Civilian scientist. Not that it matters anymore. He grinned, teeth bloodstained. "You look like hell, Kaul. I was dead. Didn't take. Then maybe you're the miracle I've been praying for." She examined the panel beside the cell. Her fingers twitched. Instinctively, she reached out, and the nanites in her bloodstream surged forward, extending into the panel. The lock disengaged with a snap. Silas stepped out, grimacing. "You just interface with alien tech." "I didn't mean to," she said. "It's like it listens to me." He looked her over. "Remind me not to piss you off." They moved together through the halls, avoiding patrols, scavenging what gear they could: plasma cutters, shock blades, fragments of armor. Silas explained what he'd overheard before sedation. The Zarn feed off suffering. Literally, their tech absorbs the emotional frequency of pain. They're building a lattice of that energy, and Earth's supposed to be next. Rhea clenched her fists. "They want billions of screams." Silas nodded. "We're lab rats before the harvest." That sealed it. No more hiding. In a control node overlooking the ship's central core, Rhea stared at a pulsating mass of tendrils and veins. The pain lattice. It glowed with a deep, hungry red. She could feel it, thrumming in her skull like a scream on repeat. "I can destroy it," she said. "My body, the nanites, I think I can corrupt their systems." "Won't that get you killed?" "I already died once." Silas smirked. "Then let's make sure this time we take a few of them with us." They left the node and disappeared into the alien maze. Two fugitives in a ship full of monsters. But now something had shifted. Rhea had been their victim. Now, she was their contagion. and the infection was spreading. The scream didn't come from a mouth. It vibrated through the walls, an inhuman keening that trembled in Rhea's bones. The ship was angry. "You triggered something," Silas muttered, crouched behind a broken console as sparks rained around them. Rhea stood perfectly still, eyes scanning the hallway ahead. Her skin shimmered faintly, hexagonal patterns pulsing under the surface. The nanites within her had fully awakened. She no longer needed food. She hadn't slept in 2 days, and she wasn't afraid. I hacked a neural relay node, dumped corrupted human memories into their pain lattice, she said flatly. It infected their core systems. You gave the whole ship a fever dream? I gave them human trauma, something they weren't built to absorb. Rhea stepped forward, her fingers twitching with energy. The walls twitched in response. She was inside the ship now, not physically but biologically. The Zarn's living vessel didn't know how to eject her. She was part of it, and she was turning it against them. They moved fast. Rhea guided them through blind spots, exploiting the alien architecture like she had grown up in it. Silas watched with a soldier's wary eye. He'd fought in the Europa Rebellion. He'd seen augmented humans before, but Rhea wasn't augmented. She was becoming something else entirely. They struck fast, precise. Rhea would isolate a patrol group with a security loop. Silas would explode from the shadows, blade in one hand, shock grenade in the other. Rhea would follow, tearing into Zarn soldiers with claws of light formed from nanite extended bone and plasma. Their attacks were surgical, devastating. Every kill echoed through the pain lattice, and the ship wailed louder. "They're scared," Silas said once, wiping green-black blood from his cheek. "They should be." They reached the nerve spire, a tower of biological data where the Zarn stored their records. Inside, Rhea connected directly. Her fingers melted into the alien substance, eyes rolling back as streams of encrypted light flashed across her mind. "Rhea?" Silas asked. Her voice emerged from speakers around them, distorted but calm. "They've done this to hundreds of species, whole civilizations, fed on pain until planets went silent. And Earth's next." "Yes," she said, "but they didn't expect resistance. They didn't expect me." Deeper inside, they found the warden, a massive Zarn officer, 8 feet tall, armored in bone and obsidian, tendrils of light trailing behind him. His voice didn't come through sound but thought. "You are in error." Rhea stepped forward. "You made me. We broke you. You should have stayed broken." Then he struck. Silas fired, but the warden moved like liquid. Rhea leapt into the air, limbs flexing mid-flight as her bones reshaped. The two collided with a concussive blast, throwing Silas into a wall. The warden's psionic power lashed her mind, trying to crush her identity. He flooded her with her own memories, her screams, her dead body, her mother's name twisted into gibberish. But Rhea didn't break. She let it in, then fed it back. Her trauma amplified, her rebirth weaponized. The warden staggered, clutching at his fractal skull. Rhea drove her arm through his chest. He disintegrated into static and black mist. Rhea collapsed beside Silas, breathing heavily. Blood, hers and theirs, covered the floor. "You okay?" he groaned. "I think. I died again," she muttered. "How long were you out?" 5 seconds. She sat up. Her skin shimmered darker now, more alien than human. But her eyes were clear, focused. "We have to reach the core. And the lattice." Silas nodded. "What happens when we blow it?" Rhea looked at her hands, now pulsing with unstable energy. "Then I stop existing. Maybe." They reached the lattice's heart, an orb of pure psychic energy suspended in tendrils of agony, glowing with the pain of billions. Rhea approached it. "I can collapse it from inside." Silas placed a hand on her shoulder. "You sure you can come back again?" "I don't think I'm coming back this time." She turned to him. "Thank you for helping me be human again." Then she stepped into the light. Inside the lattice, time fractured. Rhea saw everything. The Zarn network of suffering stretching across galaxies, and herself at its center, a glowing anomaly. She screamed. The lattice screamed back. Then silence. In the void left behind, the ship began to rupture. The pane lattice collapsed inward, folding space with it. Silas ran for an escape pod. Behind him, the ship was dying. But somewhere in the debris, drifting in the black, Rhea still pulsed with life. Silas Vin floated in silence. The escape pod spun gently, stabilizing itself as it tumbled away from the crumbling Zarn vessel. The massive ship had begun folding in on itself, like a collapsing lung. Its pane lattice, once pulsing with stolen agony, had gone dark, and Rhea Kaul was gone with it. Silas gripped the edge of the console, his bloodied fingers trembling. The emergency beacon blinked steadily. Earth Command would pick it up in hours, maybe less. But time felt meaningless now. He'd survived wars, betrayals, even a Martian winter. But nothing prepared him for watching her walk into death. Again, hours passed. Silas drifted in and out of consciousness. He dreamed of her, eyes glowing, standing before the alien core like a flame in darkness. Not afraid, not angry, just resolute. In his dream, she turned to him and said, "I was human. I still am. But I'm also something they don't understand." Then something struck the pod. A dull impact. No alarm. No breach. Just a presence. The sensors lit up. Unidentified energy signature detected. Silas leaned forward. What the hell? A shape emerged outside the viewport. Small at first, then expanding like a ripple in space. Not a ship. Not a life form. A pulse. Like a memory made flesh. And then, through the haze of static and glass, he saw her. Floating, glowing faintly. Her body intact, but no longer bound by gravity or pain. Her skin shimmered with starlight, her eyes like twin novas. She didn't breathe. She radiated. The pod systems went haywire. Warning, quantum entanglement field forming. Silas opened the hatch, ignoring protocol. The vacuum should have killed him. It didn't. Rhea stepped inside. She was silent at first. Not robotic, not cold. Just beyond words. But then, finally, I held them. All of them. The memories. The pain. Silas nodded slowly. And I gave it back. The lattice collapsed under the weight of our truth. Not just mine, everyone's. They couldn't carry what they stole. She sat across from him, light flickering off her form. I'm not what I was. Not human. Not alien. But I remember who I am. Silas laughed once, dry, tired. Rhea Kaul. Scientist. Survivor. Space ghost. She smiled faintly. Let's go with resurrected anomaly. They sat in silence for a while. Then the ship's sensors picked up a signal. Multiple Terran vessels inbound. Rescue? Rhea asked. Or retrieval, Silas replied. They're not going to let something like you walk free. I know. She looked out the viewport at the stars. Vast, cold, familiar. I can't go back. Not really. Silas turned to her. Then what do you want to do? She thought about that. I want to finish what we started. When the Earth Command frigate ENS Valor arrived, they found the escape pod empty. No life signs. No corpses. No trace of Rhea Kaul. But data leaked from every Zarn artifact recovered across the galaxy. Pane lattices shattered. The alien hive collapsed. Refugee worlds blinked back online. Someone, was unraveling the Zarn-S work from the inside. And she left a message behind. You taught me pain, but I learned something stronger. You wanted me broken. Instead, I became the cure. RK. Somewhere far from Earth, on a barren moon orbiting a dead world, a group of Zarn survivors crawl from wreckage. They wept through their eyeless sockets, clawing at their own skulls. Because they could still hear her. Not a scream, but a song, echoing through the void, carried on the remnants of corrupted neural networks. It wasn't agony. It was memory. It was humanity. And it terrified them. Epilogue. Silas Vin returned to Mars under a veil of silence. Discharged with honors. Decorated. Watch closely. He lived quietly after that, teaching tactics at a defense academy, drinking alone at sunset, looking up at the stars like they owed him an answer. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the sky was clear and the network static hummed faintly in the wind, he heard her voice. Not dead, not gone, just out there. And he smiled.